Okay, so when is your Hack in City exam? Have you guys received the dates? Confirmed dates? Okay, my 5th, 7th, or 9th. Okay, great. Okay, so let's start the preparation for that. Okay, just before we are going to start, are you guys aware of string? String is a basic data structure, or maybe I would say just a basics of like how exactly it works, what is string, or do we want me to cover that this as well? Okay, great. So let's start with the question. Directly jump into the question. So, okay, guys, just to give a brief about the string, because today we'll be covering a string manipulation. Okay, so the string manipulation is basically playing with the string. Like, it can be a jumble sentence. You need to find a palindrome. You need to find a panagram, or whatever. It can go up to a good level of a DP. You can consider this as well inside the. Okay, can you guys see my screen now? Is it visible to everyone? Great. Okay, so today we'll be starting the string. And what is string is? A string is basically you cannot call it as a data structure, but it's a basic starting of the data structure, right? So basically, whatever you have to do, you always have to make the string manipulation, right? In every exam, you have seen the questions like in every exam they usually ask from the string, right? And it can go up to the DP level as well. So today we'll be starting with the string manipulations, and after that we'll go up to that level. So let's get started. Okay. So the according to the Hack Infinity exam, there will be 3 questions. Okay, all will be of a coding question. You will be given a 3 hours, and you have to attempt. So can you guys try to uh, attempt this question? Kind of a easy question, just to give a heads up that how exactly we guys are placing in that. So maybe we can take up the more challenges later. Okay, so what I want from you guys is to suggest me a pseudocode that how exactly are you guys going to do it. Okay, we are not going to discuss the complete solution, but yeah, we will be covering how exactly we should approach this problem, right? And what are the various methods which will give me lesser time complexity and a space complexity. Are you guys aware of a time complexity and what is in space complexity? Okay, great. So those who doesn't, what is actually the time complexity and what is space complexity? So if I talk about a time complexity is basically a measurement that how much time will your code take to execute it successfully, right? So let's say you have written 3 for loops, right? So if it's going inside the 3 for loops, one another in the nested 3 for loops, then definitely it's gonna take more time, right? And if you have one for loop, definitely it's gonna take less time. So you need to take care of all those things whenever you are doing the question, right? Make minimum for loops, make minimum number of operations. Okay, you need to optimize your code. That is called as an optimization. Like it's called as a time complexity, but the better word is an optimization, and we call it as a time complexity. So as you increase the optimization, the time complexity will get reduced because as you go on the optimization direction, your code will take less time to get it executed, right? So your time complexity will automatically reduce. What is the space complexity? Space complexity basically refers that how much space your code gonna task of the system to execute it successfully. Let's say you are given an array, okay, and you are creating 4 more arrays, right, of a similar thing. Then you need 4 more arrays space, right? So if you need a space, that again gonna impact the time, space complexity, right? So in that case, your space complexity will get increased. Okay, so the rule over here is you need to optimize your code. When I say optimization, first you try to reduce the time complexity, okay, and then second you try to reduce the space complexity, right? As much as you can. Use minimum number of for loops, use minimum number of variables. If you can handle it with a variable, don't create an array, right? You don't need that. So that is all about space and time complexity. Maybe we can discuss more into the detail along with the questions. Okay. Okay. Meanwhile, can you guys read the question and try to suggest me that what could be the solution for that and how exactly you guys going to approach this? Okay, passing continuous statement for every mass alphabet. Okay, great. And printing the remaining alphabets. Okay. Okay. So in the Python, A input, if not in A, print I. Okay, great. Good. Okay. You can use a set A contains the set B. Okay, good. Using the ASCII values, compare and delete whichever present. Okay. How about others? Okay, can we use dictionary comparison? Of course you can. Okay, guys, have you already selected for this exam? Have you already selected language for this exam? Like in which language you are going to write a code? Okay, Java. So what you guys have selected? Okay, most of you guys have selected Java or Python, or they have given only 2 options. Is it Java or Python? So there is no option for that. Any language can be used. Okay. Okay. If that's the case, any language can be good, then we are good on that. Okay, language choosing was only for MPTQ. Okay. Okay, great. So far easy question. Let's discuss the solution of that. Panagram is a sentence. Every letter in the English alphabet. Given a string, find all the characters that are missing from the string. The characters that can match the string of panagram. We need to print the output in the alphabetical order. Welcome to the Geek Boogie. So okay, we have written the code as well. Package hack within C. Okay, why are you importing that package? Is it required to import the package? Okay, great. So this also works. So welcome to the Geek for Geeks, and we need to find that whatever the missing characters do we have. So there can be a number of solutions to find it, and it's a quite an easy question, right? So how exactly are we going to approach it? If you have a look at the example, welcome to the Geek for Geeks. So A is missing over here, so I will write A, B. So as you guys have suggested, we can have a number of solutions for that, right? So what we can do is we can create a array like this. Okay, we'll create a boolean array. Okay, and after creating a boolean array, I will create a character list of a new character list, and I will just keep on checking whether the number exists in that character or not. Okay? So string.charaty will give me that number, and if that number is lies between a to z, okay, so the present string at I -1 is equal to 2. What I am doing over here is I am creating a boolean array. I'm subtracting a character, right? There can be a number of ways doing it, right? The basic way I would see it as like create a ABCDEFGH and so on the ABCD and just compare these values, right? If any one of the values is not actually, then we can claim that the number is missing. The second method to do it is using a set. As, this is what you guys have to set. Set is also a good approach. You can just put these numbers into a set. Okay, so it will basically give me the whatever the it will not take the common element. So if we have e twice or thrice, it will only take one, right? So let's say after putting all these numbers inside the set, I have created a set, and after putting inside the numbers, I got A, B, C, D, or something like that, right? Okay, it will not repeat the number. That is the quality of a set. Whenever we put anything inside the set, it will only take once, right? It's because we are creating a normal string. If we are creating a hash map or something like that, that's a different aspect. But we are not going there because we don't want to have an exact count of the variables, right? What exactly we want to have, that what are the numbers we can, right? So these are the numbers A, B, C, F, Z, D. These are the numbers I can have. Okay, now I can create a one more set, set 2, okay, which is basically consists of a whole ABCD. Okay, ABCDEF and so on till the Z, right? So what I can compare is what is the number which is present over here and which is not present over here. This is the way you can do it. So apart from that, you can create a Boolean array, you can create a character array, you can also check with the ASCII values, like with whatever the ASCII values are matching. Whatever the ASCII values are not matching, that's going to be your output. But you need to make sure that you will always start from the ABCD, because the output that is required, it should be always in the ascending order. Okay. Okay, how exactly are you guys going to do it? Guys, I know these are the easy questions, but we'll speed up on that. Right? Gradually, if you see the third question level is way more higher than all of these. Find one extra character in this string. Just I need the pseudocode. I don't need the whole code. I just wanted you guys to tell me that how exactly we guys can proceed for this. Okay, same approach can be used, same as the last question. Okay. This string comparison and printing out the missing characters. Okay. That's what we have to do, but how exactly are we going to compare it? Right? Mm. Okay. So sort both the string and first not matching. Okay, great. So we got so many solutions over here. The string comparison, create the two subsets. Okay, all of them work. So find the two strings. Sorry, given the two strings which are of a length n and n plus one. So there is a difference in the length. the second string contains all the characters of the first string, but there is a one character extra. Okay? Your task is to find the extra characters in the second string. Okay. So if I have a look at the first approach, right? So the first approach which comes to my mind is what I can do is I can just compare these two strings starting from the first character. I will check in the second string. So okay, if we talk about the brute force approach, which is basically the time complexity is not very good for that. Okay, but this is the first thought that comes to my mind when I see this question, right? So what I'm going to do is I will write a for loop for int I is equal to 0, I should be lesser than n, I plus plus, okay, and then I can write a nested for loop for int j is equal to the I plus 1, okay, and I can just compare the string. Okay, let's say the length of this is m. So these are the lengths, and what I can do is I can just compare the strings, right? So if the characters, let's say str of I, okay. So now what I need to do is I just find will the a present over here or not, right? So iterate from 0 to n, correct. That's what we're gonna do. Iterate from 0 to n, check if the characters are equal. So I will check whether a is present over here or not. Okay. Okay, I will check from the bigger one. So the bigger one would be this one. So I will check whether C is present over here or not. So C is present, right? So I will check if that character is present or not. If that is present, I will maintain a count of some variable, which I am going to keep track of that how many characters are matching. If none of them are matching, so the count or a flag variable, whatever you want to name it, okay, that would be a variable which you need to keep track of that whatever the characters are matching, right? Initially, I will initialize that as 0. Then after that, you can increase or decrease. You can increase the count if a character matches. Whenever the character doesn't win, just print out the character which is not mentioned. Right? Directly, you can get this done. But if you have a look at the time complexity, we are using a 2 for loop. When we are using a 2 for loop, and have a look at the length of a string. The length of a string would be n, right? The length of this string would be n plus 1 in any of the case. So if I talk about the time complexity of the very first solution is going to be the big O of n square because we have two for loop views. Okay, why is the space complexity in the big O of n? Because we are using a constant space over here. Whenever there is anything which is constant, which is not related to n, we will call it as a big O of 1. It's same for the time complexity, same for the space complexity. There is no actual differentiation on that, but the time complexity is basically dependent on n. Since we are having a two for loop, one is going from 0 to n, one is going from I plus 1 to n plus 1. Ideally, it should be n plus 1 because we have a length n and the n plus 1, right? So this is the first method. The second method I can see is of using a hash, right? Or okay, using a hash map. So what is a hash map? Create an empty hash map. Insert all the characters of a second string. Now remove all the characters of a first string. The remaining character is the first character. Okay, the remaining character is the extra character. So what they are going to do? Create a map, or maybe you can create a array as well. But since the numbers can be repeated as well, I would suggest you create a hash table. Okay, once you are creating a hash table, you can put all the variables over there. This works same as what you can do with a set. Okay, what is a hash table? So hash table is basically it's a kind of a 2D data structure. If you do it in Java, that's good. Okay, you can understand the hash table, but it would be same as your directories if I say in terms of a Python. Okay, so the directory is what stores it stores into the key values there, right? That's the same way we can store the data inside the hash table with the key value pair. There would be a key, there would be a value. Okay, so what I can do is I can create a hash table, and how the hash table, let's say I create a hash table for the very first. So it is ABCD. Okay, if I create a hash table for the ABCD, so how it's gonna look like? Okay, so A count will be 1, B count will be 1, C count will be 1, D count will be 1, right? You can create like this. And if I talk about the second one, So A count again would be 1. Okay, I have A, B, C, D all. So A count will be 1, B count will be 1, C count will be 1, D count will be 1, and E count is again 1. Right? So if I compare these two, okay, you can remove the counts as well. Sorry. If you compare these two, you can remove this. Whenever the count matches, you can remove that, and whatever the result you will get, it will be. But I would say no, not to go for this solution as well. Why? Because we are using an unnecessary extra space, right? Which is not required at all. Right? Why would I want to store the value as well? Instead of I can just store the keys and that would be more than sufficient, right? So that method itself has a drawback. And that's why it's a method two. It's not an optimal solution so far. We have a better solution for that. Why we are going for a hash map when we can use just a set? Okay. Okay. You want me to write the code for the hash map? Yep. We can do that. Correct. There is a one more solution to do it using an ASCII value. So if you define a hash map, the hash map works like, let's say you need to first define a hash map. Okay, what values it's gonna have? Let's say I'm just writing a pseudocode, right? You can check the exact syntax as well, but it would look like this. I will just give you a brief over here because this is the class we are not going to discuss the actual solution, right? We are just going to define the pseudocode, and wherever you have the problem, maybe you can always ask me. So let's say I have defined a hash map, and you can, let's say you want to, okay, give the name which is mnemonic. When I say mnemonic means which exactly indicates that what this name is used for. Let's say character count. Okay, you want to count the character. Give a name like this. Okay, and whenever you are writing, giving a variable name, always make sure you start with a small letters. This is a good coding practice. Okay, then you will write a new hash map, something like this. Okay, and you can define over here as well. Even if you don't define, it's gonna work. Right? Then after this, sorry, it's not 90, it's just these brackets. Then after this, you can just put the variables into that, right? So the character count dot put. Okay, and let's say you want to put a variable, so you can use a for loop as well, but I'm just putting over the keys over here. So you need to write a key name over here, and you can specify the values over here. Since the key is a string and the value is a value, so I'm writing the keys in the double quotes and the value is as value. Right? Then after this, you can iterate over it, right? There is some method for the iterator as well. You need to learn that, right? After once you iterate it, you can get all the values as well, right? But so far, this is not required at all, right? This is not an optimal solution because we are unnecessarily using a value variable which is not as required. The method third, I would suggest you can go for the sets. Okay. So what you can do is you can just put inside the set, and whatever the variable which is not matching, okay, put all the values in the set, put all the values in the set, and the set B minus set A will always give you the whatever the difference it has, right? So set B minus set A, if you're gonna do, it will give you the difference. And when I say set B, it's basically the all the characters of a string, all the characters of a string B. When I say a set A, all the characters of a string A. If you create a set of these and just put inside the set and just get the difference. There is a one more method which you might have heard. Correct. The set won't work if the character repeats. Correct. That's there. Right? You need to keep track of these as well. If the two alphabets are repeated in the second string, it won't work. Correct. So that's what you can define it, right? If you are putting inside the set, before putting inside the set, just make sure that it's not getting repeated, right? So whenever you are putting inside the set, what you can do is check whether the variable is already present inside the set or not, right? That's what you can do, right? If this, let's say, if the set A already contains, let's say if the set A already contains the variable P, then you are not going to put inside the P. You cannot put inside the set again P, right? So what you can do is you can maintain a count, or somewhere you maintain a variable that the okay, this P I am repeating 2 number of times, right? Or maybe I will give you a better suggestion for that. What you can do is, if I call it as a method for, what you can do is you can create a array for that, right? So let's say you create an array of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on for the 26 variables, right? Now, whenever you are receiving a variable, just increment the count for doing variables. Let's say the very first number you receive is A, right? So whenever you receive A, what you do is, okay, these are the empty ones. I have this written, like you need to create an empty array of a 26 number, which can, so if I write it like this, you need to create an array which can store the 26 numbers and let you call it A, right? So if I have an empty array which can store the 26 numbers, so what I am using is this array is to maintain the count. Maintain the count of variables, right? So let's say you got A, so I will go to the first, I will go to the 0th index, I will mark it as 1. Let's say you receive B, I will go to the first index and mark it as 1. Let's say you receive B again, what I will go is, I will go to the first index, mark it as 2, right? So every time you need to increase the count by 1, whatever there is present. And you have to do it for the second as well, and wherever there is a mismatch occurs, right? Okay, now you need to do the same thing for the string 2 as well. So there would be an array 2, okay, of 26 as well, right? And I will call it as a B, and what you need to do is you need to compare these arrays as well. But again, this is again a lengthy operation. Why it's a more time complexity operation? Because we are going to create the two arrays of a 26 variables. I know this is a constant, but still it's gonna take some space. Is there a way we can optimize more? Correct. Space complexity will gonna increase in this case because we are using more space. We have 26. We need to store 26 characters over here. We need to store 26 over here. So that's again a 52 characters I'm going to store. But still, I can call it as a space complexity is the big of one only. If you ask me what is the space complexity in this case, it would again be big of one. Why is the big of one? Because one represents for the constant one. I can assure you that there cannot be more than 52. It's not dependent on it. How many, what is the length of the string I have? That's totally doesn't depend on how much space that we are going to use, right? So it would be big O of one. That is the constant space that we are going to make use of, right? Okay, let's have a look at the third. They are calling it as a third method. So let's have a look at this method as well. Okay, if you guys remember how an XOR operation works, right? This is a really good, I would say, a best approach to do that. Okay, for the Python, we do have a dictionary as well, right? So make use of the dictionary, right? That's the same as a hash map, right? It also stores into the key value pair. Okay, is there any specific topics to have a grip on for this exam for the Python, which majorly is for the most questions? Yep. We are going to discuss the mostly asked questions as well, right? So we'll be discussing that, and along with that, I will share the PDF with you guys. Maybe the Sundeck team will share the PDF with you guys. So guys, you can also refer that, and we'll be discussing the previous year questions, right? At the end of a class, I will be telling that okay, this was the question that has been already asked in the previous years. Okay, so we'll be covering the previous year questions as well, okay? So that you guys have a better idea that okay, these are the type of questions that they usually ask, and you need to focus on those questions, right? but so far I can share the what are the topics we're gonna discuss. So okay, maybe if you guys want to make a note of it, or maybe I can share it with you. Okay, InfyTQ final round results, any idea? No guys, I don't have any idea, but if you guys need any information, maybe I can check with the team. Okay. So the guys must be having an idea and I will forward the same to you. Are the dates on isn't available online? Like even you guys can check it out. Okay, so I have shared in the chat section as well. Can you guys find it? Right. So okay, not available in website. Okay, let it be. So if we have a look at the exam pattern, so hack and within C 2021 round 1 might contain 3 coding questions based on a real world scenario. Candidate is expected to solve them within a time span of 3 hours. This is what we have discussed. You can expect the coding questions from below these things. So the greedy algorithm, dynamic programming, backtracking, stack, queues. Okay, DS is very, very important. You mean the data structure? Yep, they usually ask the questions on the data structure, and the data structure is not a separate topic, right? You can always apply it over the DP, you can always apply it, like data structure, anyways, you need to learn everywhere, right? So the data structure is the foremost thing to crack any of the exams. Even for the cracking of an interview round as well, you need to have a good grip on the data structure. Okay, you are from a EC background, so it is new to me. Okay. In that case, what I can suggest you as of now, just watch some YouTube videos, some basic things, right, before coming to the class, because we cannot discuss everything from the scratch. That would be really hard for me to discuss from the scratch as well as the questions in the same class, right? And with the minimum span of a time, we have just 11 classes to go, and we have exams over that. So what I can suggest is just go through the video, uh, make some grip on a basics, and it would really help you, right? How to convert a set into a string. Okay, it's an easy, right? You can, okay, how you gonna convert a set into a string? So how will you convert it? Run a for loop for that, right? Or you can use an iterator if you are working in Python, right? So what you can do is, I'm not sure whether there is a direct method available or not, but you can iterate the whole set and you can append the variables. So it would be like string f is equal to whatever the variables you are getting from the set f plus append the variable you are getting. So append the variable s, right? So whatever the variables you are getting, let's say you are getting a ch of ri, you will just add it to the string, right? And you can call it as a same string. So if it is an s, you will call it as. Okay. Let me explain you a bit masking approach for this, right? So we this is a method that we can also use for, okay, traverse the first and the second string. Correct. Let me tell you that. So the traverse the first second string from the starting with an XOR at the end, you will get the extra character. So how a bit masking works is, right? Let's say I have given you one, okay, 1, 2, 3. I have given you one number. Okay, just make, okay, let's start with the ABC only, otherwise you will guys get confused. Okay, we have ABC. and we have A, B, C, D. How does this work? Okay? So what we're gonna do is traverse first and the second string from starting with XOR operation. At the end, you get the character extra. So whatever happens, let's say you XOR these two. So it would be 0 because whenever we do an XOR of a same variable, it either occurs as a 0 or we can call it as a false as well, right? Depends on us how exactly we are going to store it, right? So, so if you see, if there is an uncommon character, right? So it really doesn't matter in which order you are going to XOR the things, right? So if I write A XOR B, okay, XOR, then C, then XOR, then B, then XOR, then A. Okay, can you guys tell me the output for this? Correct. XOR is a directly available. XOR is not a keyword, right? XOR, I guess in the Python it should be something like this. So XOR is directly not available as a keyword. Should be same in the Java as well. Correct. It should be the same, right? I'm just writing for your reference. You can use the actual operator, which is basically this. Can you guys tell me the? Yep, that should be the same for in both. Can you guys tell me the output for this? Quickly, anyone? I have made it easy for you guys. No, when I say this, so let's say B XOR B will give me 0. Okay, A XOR A will give me 0. Now, when I do C XOR with 0, it will again give me C itself, right? Why it's gonna give me C? Because whatever the number we have left with, right? It will only give me that number itself, right? So whenever we have an extra character, okay, you can just write out as well. Whenever we do have an extra character, so B XOR B will give me 0. It's not about 1 or 0, right? When you do an XOR of a 0 with a character, you will exactly get the character itself, right? So what you need to do is, no, there is no as such priority, right? They will give the some ASCII values, like if you do A XOR B, right? You can perform in this operation. So A XOR B, then it will perform the A XOR B with C. Then it's gonna perform like this. But at the end, the result would be this only, right? That's what I mean, right? If we have a look at the final result, that would be this. But how exactly they are going to do an XOR, that's not on us. That's the Python is going to execute. Okay, if you are asking me that how the code executes, it always executes in the left to right direction. But how to identify that what will be the output? B XOR B will give me 0, A XOR A will give me 0. Then I will end up with the C XOR 0, which will give me the C itself. Okay. So if I have the two characters, if I have the two strings over here, and if I do an XOR of these two, so A and A will cancel out. You can consider it as a cancel out. Okay. So whatever the number will cancel out will not be having any impact on us, right? So these are the numbers. If I talk about the first four numbers, I can just cancel out, and the remaining number would be E itself, and that would be the final number left. Okay. What is the time complexity, right? So if you have a look at the time complexity, this is it's a big of n plus n plus 1. Why I am saying it as n plus n plus 1? Because you need to iterate a loop, right? For int I is equal to 0. You can, okay, let me just open the online compiler. Yes, you can solve the toString and compare, but let me tell you the pros and cons of all those things. So online, let's open the Java compiler, anyone. Okay, so let's say so how exactly we're gonna do an XOR operation? Let's say you are given a string 1. So okay, string A is given you as an ABC. Okay, string B is again given you as the ABCD, whatever it is, right? But it has just the length n. Okay, if I talk about just this, it has a length, sorry, it has a length n. Okay, it has a length n plus 1. So the string will be given to you in this manner. Okay, now what you can do is you can just iterate a loop, something like this. Okay, and just store the XOR variable. So let's say you want to store the inside the int, you can store it and result, right? You can store it into the ASCII values and then convert it, whatever suits you, right? Or maybe you can directly compare the XOR one. So you can start with a 0. Okay, and after this, what you can do is result is equal to the result into A of, or whatever the syntax is, A dot caret I. Or maybe you can take it as a character as well, whatever the suits you. It's all up to you. So the result is equal to, now you will get the result. Now you need to do the same thing for the second answer, right? So if you do it for the second and you need to iterate for n plus 1, right? And instead of A, you will have a B over here. Now the final result, whatever you will get, either it would be a ASCII value, depending on how exactly you are choosing, or it would be a character itself, right? Okay, we can use the two. Okay, there is a one more solution to do it. Let's discuss this as well. So the next solution, I think it has solve the two strings and compare, right? But if you have a look at the time complexity, so this is gonna take me big O of n, right? Till here I got the big O of n. If I consider about this, it again gonna take me big O of n, right? Okay, why they have written it so specifically, just to give up a heads up on that. But if you have a look at the actual time complexity, we will still call it as a big O of n itself, right? Because this can be written as a 2n plus 1, right? And if I can write it as a 2n plus 1, it can also be, since the 1 is a constant, I can just remove it directly, and the 2 is again a constant, so it will again be big O of n. Right? So the time complexity for the whole code is a big O of n only. That clear? Okay, why we are not going to do a sorting operation? So the reason behind that is, if you sort a numbers, what is the minimum time complexity you will get? Let's see that as well, right? So if you sort a array of a characters or however you want to sort it, it will take big O of n log n, which is only possible with the merge, which is only possible with the quick sort or the merge sort, right? So the time complexity will be big O of n log n, right? You need to sort both the strings. So the time complexity for sorting out both the strings will be big O of n log n. Now you need to compare it. For the comparison, you again need to run a loop. That would again take me big of n, right? Because there would be a for loop, right? Due to for loop. Okay. So if you have a look at the time complexity overall due to for loop. Okay, if you have a look at the overall time complexity, it will give me big of n log n, and it will take the big of n, right? So again, it's gonna take the time complexity as big of n, right? And we have to do it recursively. So it's a lengthy operation, and for the sorting, we need to first sort out these numbers, and then we need to use the for loop, right? But we can make use of a single for loop or the two for loops just to make it work. And if you remember, it also uses a time complexity, sorry, space complexity as well, right? So it uses a space complexity as well. If you are going for the quick sort, it creates an array. Maybe we'll discuss more into the details, but yeah, it uses the time complexity in short, and the time complexity would be big of n as well. But yeah, that is also one of the approach you can think of. Okay, the last approach is basically pico of n, and we are not using an auxiliary space as well. That is just a constant one. So what exactly we're gonna do? I will just add the ASCII values of all the values, right? So add the ASCII values of each and every character in the first string, right? So if I talk about an ASCII values of A plus ASCII value of B, okay, so ASCII of A. Similarly, you can add to the ASCII value of B, and so on, whatever the numbers you have, right? Similarly, you can calculate the ASCII value for the second string. Okay. So ASCII value of A plus B, and just subtract these two numbers. Whatever the numbers you will subtract, you will get, let's say, you will get something like, or maybe 98 or something like that. From this, you can find it as a character, right? Which character it is. And you can just print out the character. Right? So this also requires a time complexity of a big of n. Why? Why does it require? Because still you need to iterate, right? So because for this, you need to iterate each and every string once. So that will require the time complexity of a big of n. As well as it will require an auxiliary space. When I say an auxiliary space, that means to store a variable, to store the ASCII values, it will again require some constant space, which is this one, right? But yeah, there can be a possibility of we can solve the strings and compare the strings as well. This is also one of the solutions. Okay. Okay, how about the best approach? So if we compare these two approaches, right? The last two approaches, what I have seen is, so the more or less both the approaches result in the same outcome. The time complexity for this one is the big of n, the time complexity for this one is the big of n as well, right? They have returned it as an n plus 1, but still that's the same case over here as well, because you need to iterate both the strings. So I would say method 3 and the method 4 will result in the same time complexity as well as in the same space complexity, because we need to use the result variable over here, and anyways we need to use some variable over here as well to track and ASCII values as well. So both of them approaches will result in the final conclusion as well as with the same time complexity and space complexity. Okay. Guys, I will share the code with you. Okay, if you really need to run it, because for this class we are just going to discuss the pseudocode. But yeah, if you need, like, for the difficult questions, I have included the code as well. Okay, we'll share the PDF as well. No worries. Okay, so let me give a brief of the question. What is a scatter palindrome and how does it work? I'm not sure how many of you seen this question before. Okay, so let me give you a brief about it. So what is a scatter palindrome? Scatter palindromes are the words which can be from palindrome by changing the order of any number of characters, right? So let's say I have given a word. Okay? If I talk about the test cases, let's say I have a word as well, A. Okay, let's talk about A as well. So is that a palindrome, first of all? Right? Can you guys tell me what is a palindrome first? Then we can move on to the scatter palindrome. I want you guys to tell me what is palindrome. Anyone can tell me the okay mirror image. Okay. About others? Correct. Mom is an example. Okay, good. So what are the palindromes? Is palindromes are the words. Okay. Correct. Malayalam. Okay, good. So palindromes are the words. If I just write it simply, palindromes are the words, or maybe in the short we can call it as the mirror image. That also works. But the palindromes are the words which are same if we read from first or last, right? So even if you read just to be the more technical, right? If you have ABC, okay, just consider it as a small a, right? I'm not able to type it. Okay, if I have ABC or if I have CBA, these are the palindromes, right? Because they are just a mirror image of this, right? If I put a mirror over here, or maybe in the simple words, you can call it as a mirror image. That also works. Okay, so okay, now what is a scatter palindrome? Let me give you scatter palindrome. Okay, so the scatter palindromes are the words which can form palindromes if you just swap or if you just interchange the order of the characters. Let's say if I have AB, okay, not AV. Okay, just consider all the whatever the letters I have written are in the small letter. Is it a palindrome? ABA is a palindrome. Yes. Okay. Is AAB the palindrome?
No.
Okay. So it's not a palindrome. And if I just write an answer for this, it is a palindrome. Now let's create a next column for the scatter palindrome. So is it a scatter palindrome? When I say scatter palindromes are the words which can be formed palindrome by changing the order of any number of characters, right? But can I form a palindrome from this? It's already a palindrome, so yes, it is a scatter palindrome as well. Is it a scatter palindrome? Correct. It's again a scatter palindrome. Why? Because when I say scatter palindrome, I can write it as ABA and it will become a palindrome, right? So it's a scatter palindrome. Okay. If I just give you an example of AAA triple A, is it a scatter pal? Okay. First column is for the palindrome. Is it a palindrome? Yes. No. Yes. Is it a scatter palindrome? So every palindrome is going to be a scatter palindrome, but every scatter palindrome will not be a palindrome. That's how we are clear. ACU. Okay. Is it a palindrome, guys? Quickly? No. Can it be a scatter palindrome? Can anyone create a palindrome from these numbers? A and C? Correct. It should be no, right? Because I cannot create a palindrome, whatever I do, right? Even if I swap any others, I cannot create a palindrome. So what I want you guys to test. Okay, now the question starts from here. This is an explanation of the question. Now the test cases look like this. Let's say I have A. Just consider all the A's are small. Okay, let's start with the two only. So how many scatter number of palindromes I can make, right? Using the substrings of these numbers, right? So you need to find, or maybe if I just write the question, so you need to find, calculate the number of scatter palindrome by creating all possible substrings of the given string, right? You need to calculate the number of scatter palindromes that you can create by creating all the possible substrings of a given string. This is what the question is. So if I take this string, the A would be the one, the B would be the second one, okay, AB would be the third one. Okay, now I need to check what is a scatter palindrome or not, right? So A is a scatter palindrome. I am writing over here, yes. Is B is a scatter palindrome? Yes. Is AB a scatter palindrome? No, right? So how many scatter palindrome I have from this is 2, right? Can you guys tell me similarly for ABC? What are the possible numbers? Okay, 3. Correct. Because we can have only, so if I just create all the substrings would be A, B, C, then I would have a AB, then I can have a BC, then I can have ABC, right? These are the possible ones. But the very first three are only going to be the very first three, the tagged one are only going to be the scatter palindromes. So 3. Okay, let's make it a bit complicated. Okay, just assume all the A's are small. Can you guys tell me the answer for this? How many scatter palindromes you guys see? Okay, the string length is given. Check if the character occurrence is multiple of 2, as there will be a character with an odd occurrence. Okay, good. Okay. So if I just break it down and see that how many are the possible ones. So A, B, A, these are the single ones. Now I have AB, I have BA, I have AA, then I can have ABA, which is with the one possibility, right? Then I can have BAA, then I can have ABA. These are the possible ones, right? So if I mark whatever is the possible, is it possible? Yes. I'm highlighting it. Okay, is it a possible one? Let me get some red color or something. Okay, let's not do that. So yes, it is one. Is it the one? Okay. Yes, it is again one. Is it the one? Yes. 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 Okay. Can anyone tell me, is it going to be a scatter palindrome or not? Yes, no. Can anyone create a palindrome from this? Okay. AAB. How will you create a AAB from here? See, when we talk about the substring, it should be in the continuous form, right? How will you create a AAB from here? It's not a subsequent, right? It's a substring we are talking about. So I will just pick up the very first character, or I can pick up this, or I can pick up these three, or I can pick up these four. These are the only possible things I have, right? So the total number I can get it as a 7. Okay, good. Any doubts, guys, still here? AB is not the possible case, right? Because you cannot have two A's than B. BAA, not a palindrome. Yes, we are not talking about the palindrome. That's what we are discussing, right? What is a scatter palindrome that we are talking about, right? So the scatter palindrome, I can create a palindrome from this. If you have a look at the BAA, I can write it as just ABA, right? And it's a palindrome. So if I can match a palindrome, yes, it is going to be a scatter palindrome, right? Okay, you want me to explain again? So let's have a look at this example only. ABA we have, create all the substrings. So how exactly you are going to create a substring? Let's say ABA you have, right? Start from the first one, pick A, then pick AB. Okay, if you don't want to do like this, just do like this. Pick A, pick AB, pick A, B, A. Okay, pick A, B, A, A. These are the four you can create from the first A. Right, now go to the B. Now you can create BA. Now you can create BA. Now start from the A. Okay, now you can create A, and now this is the last. Now check what are the scatter palindromes we have, right? This is how you need to do it. Okay. So, okay, now can anyone tell me first how we are going to create a substring? All possible substrings. This is the first question. Okay, the second, there is no dynamic programming solution. We don't want to go for the dynamic programming solution. Just we want to think of a string manipulations over here, right? We will discuss the dynamic programming as well in the coming session, but yeah, this question is not made for that. Okay, using two loops. Okay, good. Okay, now the second question I have is how exactly you will determine. Let's say you got the substrings, you got all the substrings with you. So how exactly you gonna find the how exactly you're gonna find whether it's a scatter palindrome or not? Right? You need to find this as well. Right? For the each and every substring, you need to check this and update the count. Right? So only two hurdles I see over here. Okay, one character should have odd occurrence and others even. Good, good. So correct the logic for this, what you guys have suggested me. Okay, so occurrence of characters I can check. Okay, okay, good. But there's still an issue, right? Let's say if I just create a substring like this, for int I is equal to 0, I should be lesser than n. Or maybe I can just write in the online compiler. For int I is equal to 0, I should be lesser than n plus I. Okay. then maybe I can write an another loop, right? J is equal to I plus 1, j should be lesser than n plus j, right? And then I can create, let's say, a variable, okay, substring of main string, you can call it like this, something numeric name, okay, and that would create a substring, or maybe you can just pick up the variable from this substring. So that would be give me a substring. Let's say the original string was there, right? So original, you can define just a name, you can define anything. So the original string was, let's say, ABC, I have defined. So you will just take the original string dot substring, okay, and you can just run a loop from I to j, right? Then after that, you can check for the, now check for the count. Okay, so now check for the count. If it's a scatter palindrome, if, okay, if it's a scatter palindrome, just increase the count. But there is a drawback with the solution. Can anyone tell me that, is there any optimized solution we can think of for this? Or you guys think like this is the most optimized solution, that I will calculate this string, check the count each and every time, and for checking the count I can use a hash map or whatever how you want to do it. Let's do that way. But is there any optimized solution you guys can think of more than this? Okay, let me tell you the drawback. What is the drawback over here? Okay, let's say I have a string as ABA, right? So I will first check for the A, right? Because how exactly this is gonna work is, it will first extract A itself, then it's gonna extract AB, then it's gonna extract AB, right? So it will first extract A, then the second character would be AB, right? Then the third character would ABA, okay? The fourth character would be ABAA. Now what you're gonna do is, you will have this substring, you will again put inside this method, check for the count and update if it's a scatter palindrome. Now for this one also, you're gonna again check for the AB, put it inside the check method, like which is basically gives you the count, check for the scatter palindrome. This will still do. I'm just overthinking it, right? So ABA I have, okay, I'm gonna put inside the method and I will check what is the count of this, right? ABA, I will again put inside the method and I will again check the count. But don't you think we are doing a duplicate operation over here again and again? Since I know that A has already a count of 1, okay, I don't want to check the A again, right? Is there a way I can eliminate directly A and I will just calculate what is the count of B I am getting over here, right? If I know that AB has been already appeared, what if I eliminate the AB from here and just check, right? Just check that how many times A we are getting more, right? Rather than doing this operation again and again. If I have ABA, is there a way to check that how many times I'm getting that? So I'm doing a repetitive operation over here, and that was actually asked in a few of the companies, like, right? So I'm not remember that, I don't remember the name of the companies, but yeah, there was some companies, like good companies, I would say, right? So they have asked this question, and it was a tricky question, right? If you do this way, you will get, let's say they have given 16 test cases, you will get 5 to 10 test cases passed, but the remaining would gonna fail, right? Because you are doing a repetitive operation that again takes a more time complexity to execute the code, right? And if it takes a more time complexity, that will be your code will not pass all the test cases, right? Since you are doing a repetitive operation over here. What is a repetitive operation? Because you have already counted the variable of A. Now you want it to count it again. Now you want the count of the variable AB again. Now you want to count the AB again, which you have already calculated. Is there a way you can optimize it? Can you guys think of? I hope the problem statement is clear to you. If not clear, maybe you guys can ask. If it's clear, just try to find out like what how could we optimize it, right? Like we don't have to calculate the count again and again. Okay, not clear. Okay, can we use bit masking? You can, but how exactly you gonna do it using a bit masking as well? Okay. Meanwhile, I am explaining the question again. So what I want you guys to give me coming before the for the next class, maybe you guys can think of about this question. Okay, and think of all the options whatever you have, and just sum it up. Okay, in the next class we're gonna start with this question. Meanwhile, I can explain just quickly that what exactly the question is and what are the problem that we were facing with the solution, right? So what exactly we were doing is we are creating a substring. So this is how what I want is I just want to stop my loop that I don't want to count the A again. I know the count of A is already 1. I want to make use of a previous one and just calculate the whatever the new variable has appeared, right? If I have ABA, right? I know the AB, the count of an AB, A is 1 and B is 1. Now I just want to make whatever the new variable has just appeared, right? I just want to store the count of this. ABA, similarly, I know that AB has already appeared. Now I just want to include A inside that. Is there a way we can think of like this? Okay, we can use an iterative tools.combination in Python. Okay, you can use it, but what is the time complexity for the iterative tools.combination? Okay, because if you are using a function which internally does something, right? Again, you are going to at the same page. Okay, big of n square. Okay. Try it out this question, right? Because what I want is if anyways, if there is a way you can somehow maintain the count of this, that would be great. Right? Try to think of it. Yes, you can make use of it, but make sure the whole logic time complexity shouldn't get increased more than a n cube, as well as the three longest awesome string. Using the two variables previous string and the count to show the previous string and count of it. Okay, I'm not aware of a longest awesome string. Maybe you can share the link. Okay, using the two variable previous string and count to store the previous string and the count of it. Okay, sounds good as of now, but try to implement this. Like, it's an easy question only, but yeah, the way it works is you need to have a lesser time complexity, right? And not only this was being asked by the many companies on the HackerRank portal, right? So even if you try to find it online, maybe you guys not able to find it online, right? But the usually companies ask these questions only, and most of the people, how much is the time complexity? Okay, for this, the time complexity is going to be the n cube, but with an optimization, right? If I say an n cube, it shouldn't be directly n cube because you need some time complexity for the check and the put inside the map as well. Okay, so we can take a temporary string. We can check whether it is present or not. Yep, you can take a temporary string. Let's say you have taken a temporary string, right? So what value you gonna keep inside the temporary string, right? It always get updated, right? Just make sure you write a code snippet and share it with me. Maybe we will discuss that as well. Okay, regarding this, the awesome string. Okay. Yep. We can discuss it inside the next class because we are already running out of time. So surely we can discuss it first. Not a big deal. Okay, guys. So I will ask the Syntax team to share the PDF with you guys. Okay. Or maybe if you